He is the strongest wind mage and has even made a pact with the king of wind spirits. 4 years ago, his father expelled him from the family because he lacked the talent for fire magic, despite being born into a family of fire users. He lost to Ayano, who was only 12 at the time, in the battle for Enraiha. Since then, he has lived overseas. Today, 4 years later, he returns to his hometown under the name Yagami Kazuma, now a powerful wind mage. Today, he received an exorcism request from a merchant, who also invited someone from the Kanagi family. The man recognized Kazuma and mocked him, calling him a third-rate mage. The merchant, uninterested in their personal grudge, just wanted the evil spirit removed. During the attack, the man's flames did not harm the spirit, but made it more violent. Kazuma called him a fool. It was not a spirit, but a demon. The merchant begged Kazuma to eliminate the demon, offering any price. Kazuma agreed for a price 100 times higher. He approached the demon, gathered a massive amount of wind elements, and sliced the demon into dust with wind blades. Afterward, Kazuma kicked the feigning man awake. Being a fire mage, he was not easily killed. The man quickly reported Kazuma's return as a wind mage to his family. Kazuma's father, Genma, was not proud to learn of his son's prowess in wind magic, considering it a disgrace to their lineage of fire. He stated that Kazuma had no relation to the family anymore. That night, several Kanagi branch members were killed by a wind mage, and all signs pointed to Kazuma. The family believed it was his revenge, and even threatened to kill him. Kazuma's guilt seemed to be confirmed. The Fuga clan quickly tracked down Kazuma's whereabouts. The Kanagi family sent 2 skilled members from a branch family, and Ayano followed secretly, defying her father. Upon reaching the destination, Ayano was trapped by a wind barrier, while the others confronted Kazuma directly, stating their purpose for coming. When Kazuma refused to return with them for questioning, they assumed he was the murderer and attacked. However, Kazuma easily defeated them. Suddenly, as if eyes appeared, wind blades emerged from a vortex behind him, slicing a building and falling on the 2 branch members, killing them instantly. Ayano, having broken free from the barrier, witnessed this and concluded Kazuma was the murderer, launching an attack on him. As Kazuma's defense intensified, he disarmed Ayano and grabbed her hand. Humiliated, Ayano unleashed her ultimate skill, which Kazuma blocked with his wind blades. Realizing she was no match, Ayano heard Kazuma declare he was not the killer. Another wind mage was responsible. Kazuma teased her about being the next clan head, questioning the future of the Kanagi family with her at the helm before leaving using wind magic. Upon hearing the news, the head of the family suspected foul play, but Kazuma remained the prime suspect. Genma, his father, and the strongest fire mage in the Kanagi family, decided to deal with him personally. If Kazuma resisted, Genma would eliminate him. When Kazuma received a call from his father, he knew it wasn't for a reunion, but to bring him in for questioning. Watching the sunset, Kazuma realized the family wouldn't stay silent, but he hadn't expected his father to intervene personally. Recalling how his father had disowned him 4 years ago despite his pleas, he had lived under his father's dominance. Now, no longer the same, Kazuma vowed to defeat his father with his newfound strength. At night, they met at the designated spot, with no familial greetings, only a direct command from Genma for Kazuma to surrender. Kazuma refused to obey or submit to him or the Kanagi family anymore. Unable to communicate, Genma prepared to use force to take him back. While Kazuma launched several wind blades easily blocked by his father, Kazuma continued attacking with wind blades to no effect. Genma, tired of wasting time, summoned flames. Kazuma dodged continuously and finally countered with a wind barrier. Unwilling to hold back, Genma concentrated a massive fire element in his palm, quickly igniting a fierce fire. Kazuma tried to compress the air to cause an explosion, but this tactic was ineffective against Genma. Genma urged Kazuma to surrender once again, but Kazuma naturally refused to give up. Seeing Kazuma still resisting, Genma decided to demonstrate overwhelming power. The fire elements around him gathered furiously, even forming blue flames known as Soen, the sacred fire. Only select fire mages can wield this absolute power, with just 11 in the world capable of using it. Undeterred, Kazuma prepared to show his true strength as vast wind elements wildly converged in his palm, shocking Genma with their immense force. Kazuma completed his gathering first and launched a powerful strike. Genma's flames were blown away. The battle was decided. Genma fell. Kazuma had defeated his father but felt no joy, only emptiness inside. He wondered what to do next. Returning to the hotel, Kazuma encountered Ren. his brother he hadn't seen in 4 years. Initially, Kazuma didn't recognize his brother, leaving Ren speechless. Ren had located Kazuma through information from the Fuga clan. Elsewhere, Ayano received a text from Ren and smirked cunningly. Ren wanted Kazuma to come home to clarify things with the clan leader, hoping to prevent hostility between his brother and the family. Although Kazuma knew this could clear up misunderstandings, he had vowed never to return to the clan. Just then, sensing danger, Kazuma quickly picked up his brother and jumped out of the window, right as Ayano arrived and witnessed the scene. After landing safely, Kazuma sensed enemies nearby and told his brother to run ahead. As the enemy appeared, Kazuma unleashed several wind blades, but they were ineffective. Suddenly, he heard his brother's cries for help from behind. Realizing it was a trap, Kazuma attempted to rescue him, but was blocked by the enemy. During the confrontation, Kazuma recognized the assailant's face. The enemy withdrew after achieving their goal. Left with no choice, Kazuma headed to the Kanagi home for clues. After Kazuma left, Ayano emerged from the ruins with difficulty. 4 years ago, his mother gave him a bank card and left him to fend for himself, simply because, as a direct descendant of the Kanagi family, he lacked the talent of a fire mage. This opened his eyes to the family's indifference. Now, standing again at the familiar gate, he wanted no ties with the Kanagi family, but he had to return to pursue clues about his brother's disappearance. As he arrived, a group of family members surrounded him, believing Kazuma to be a murderer. Kazuma mocked them for their foolishness. They retaliated with flames, but Kazuma remained unharmed and countered with 2 massive wind blades, knocking them all down. Then, the clan leader approached, friendly, and discussed Kazuma's recent fight with Genma. Kazuma, unreserved, admitted he had beaten his father severely, which made the clan leader laugh heartily. Kazuma then explained his purpose for coming. He was puzzled why someone would kidnap his brother, and asked the clan leader for any clues. The leader's demeanor turned serious, suggesting he had some leads, and invited Kazuma inside for a detailed discussion. At that moment, Ayano returned and was furious upon seeing the aftermath, learning that Kazuma was responsible. Inside, Kazuma quickly identified the culprit from the information provided by the clan leader. The photo showed Ryuya, the son of the Fuga clan leader. Suddenly, the door burst open, and Ayano stood there angrily, wielding a flame sword aimed at Kazuma. The clan leader roared in anger, stopping her. He was speechless at his daughter's actions before scolding her. However, Ayano insisted that Kazuma was the murderer. The clan leader interrupted her, clarifying that the real culprits were from the Fuga clan, not Kazuma. This morning, the Fuga clan's residence was found empty, a clear sign of their betrayal. Kazuma was merely a distraction to divert the Kanagi family's attention from the Fuga clan's covert operations. Historically, the Fuga clan was powerful, drawing strength from demonic forces. 300 years ago, the Kanagi family had sealed their worshipped demon and subdued them, making the Fuga clan subordinates to the Kanagi. Over these 300 years, they plotted their revenge, abducting Ren to use him as a sacrifice to break the demon's seal, which would obliterate his soul. Hearing this, painful memories flooded Kazuma's mind, and he vowed to prevent such events from recurring. Ayano then declared her intention to rescue Ren. Kazuma said it was too much for her alone and offered to accompany her. The clan leader agreed with their plan. However, Kazuma then asked for money, which baffled everyone, but the clan leader quickly agreed, understanding Kazuma's intentions. Although his primary motive was to save his brother, he was also inadvertently aiding the Kanagi family. They rushed to the location given by the clan leader. Despite the bumpy ride, Kazuma sped on. Meanwhile, the Fuga clan was preparing to start the ritual. Sensing Kazuma and Ayano's approach, Ryuya was aware that several more hours were needed to break the seal. He was sent to intercept them. Kazuma immediately sensed the enemy's arrival, smashed the car door, grabbed Ayano, and jumped out of the car. Kazuma recalled a painful memory and vowed not to let such a tragedy happen again. He needed to rescue his brother quickly. Facing Ryuya, who had come to intercept them, Kazuma quickly devised a strategy, instructing Ayano to engage in close combat. Her flame sword, capable of destroying demons, was blocked by Ryuya's windshield. Ryuya, not using his full strength, knocked Ayano back with a punch. She struggled to defend herself and looked to Kazuma for help, only to find him watching from the air and then flying away, leaving her to fight alone. Meanwhile, the Fuga clan began their ritual. Ren appeared vacant, clearly under complete control. The seal was slowly breaking, with dark smoke rising and a demon beginning to materialize, ready to devour the sacrifice. Suddenly, a fierce wind suppressed the demon and lifted the Fuga clan into the air. Kazuma successfully rescued his brother, and the demon was temporarily sealed. The Fuga clan leader, puzzled why Kazuma would interfere, understood the resentment and humiliation he might share, considering the Kanagi family their common enemy. Kazuma admitted feeling similarly, but revealed that the clan leader had hired him for a large sum, leaving the Fuga clan leader dismayed that his plans were thwarted by such a person. Just then, Ryuya returned. With a roar from Ryuya, the demon was summoned and possessed him. Ryuya quickly transformed into a demonic form. The leader, ecstatic to greet his demon god, was caught off guard as Ryuya, having lost his reason, began attacking them. Kazuma protected his brother just in time, but the Fuga clan was completely defeated, clearly a case of reaping what they sowed. The demon, carrying its grudge, headed towards the Kanagi family. Kazuma had to stop it, but first, he needed to find Ayano, who was now unconscious. Her wounds were minor, but the invading demonic energy was spreading throughout her body, threatening her life. Kazuma reluctantly used his treasured life water, but couldn't get her to drink it. Ayano woke up just in time. Before she could lash out, Kazuma explained the situation and the value of the life water, mentioning he would charge for it. Without delay, he carried both and chased after the demon. The demon's aura awakened evil spirits underground. Ren decided to stay behind to eliminate these spirits, while Kazuma and Ayano continued their pursuit of the demon. Kazuma stopped the demon with a wind blade, but it seemed to anger him. Ayano charged forward with her flame sword as Kazuma covered her with wind blades. Suddenly, the demon vanished and launched a surprise attack from behind. Ayano was thrown back by the immense force and fell into Kazuma's arms. The demon then released 4 tornadoes, splitting the ground instantly. Kazuma created a passageway with the strong winds, allowing Ayano to attack through it. However, the demon was too strong for Ayano to handle alone. They needed another plan. Kazuma decided to attack the demon from above. A fierce tornado descended from the sky, pinning the demon to the ground. Ayano rushed forward to deliver a fatal blow, but the demon remained unharmed. Realizing they couldn't defeat him, Kazuma prepared his ultimate move and needed Ayano to buy him time. Despite the gap in their strength, Ayano refused to give up. She unleashed flames with her bare hands to repel the demon, then drew her flame sword to sever the demon's arm. However, this damage was not enough to destroy the demon. By then, Ayano was exhausted. At this critical moment, Kazuma made his entrance. His powerful presence alone intimidated the demon, and the tornado he summoned further suppressed it. He left the final blow to Ayano. With the demon eliminated, Kazuma collapsed from exhaustion. Just moments ago, the girl was giving Kazuma flirtatious looks, indicating she was at his mercy. The next second, they crossed swords, and it happened at a celebration held by the Kanagi family in Kazuma's honor. It turned out that the girl's brother was one of those killed in the operation to capture Kazuma. Although Kazuma was not the direct killer, he was indirectly responsible. However, her dagger caused no harm. When the clan leader discussed how to deal with the girl, Kazuma said no punishment was necessary because there was no real threat. This was an outright humiliation. Kazuma felt guilty and soon left. Ayano was inexplicably annoyed, having just scolded a hooligan. After a recent incident, she had unwittingly developed feelings for Kazuma, though she hadn't realized it herself. Her best friend noticed and teased her relentlessly. Just then, they ran into Kazuma, who was with a mature woman. Ayano noticed the conspicuous sign behind them and realized they were in the red light district. The woman asked Kazuma if Ayano was his girlfriend. Kazuma called her just a relative and left with the woman, warning Ayano not to wander in such places. This infuriated Ayano, who said goodbye to her friend and secretly followed them but soon lost track. After unsuccessfully searching on her own, Ayano enlisted Ren's help, but they still couldn't find Kazuma, wearing Ren out. Wanting a drink to quench her thirst, Ayano spotted Kazuma upstairs. They hid and watched secretly, seeing Kazuma appear to be waiting for someone. The woman who showed up was the same one who had tried to kill Kazuma. Ayano and Ren followed them to see what was going on, but their poor tracking skills didn't escape Kazuma's notice. They saw Kazuma enter a hotel, which made Ayano wildly jealous. She imagined what might happen next and exploded in anger. Fortunately, Ren pulled her back, preventing another huge scene. When Kazuma and the girl reached the hotel entrance, she stopped pretending. A sniper in the distance began firing, followed by a group of men in black attacking Kazuma with a barrage of gunfire. Ayano arrived, unconcerned for Kazuma's safety, knowing it wouldn't harm him. Suddenly, a strong wind knocked the attackers to the ground and took out the sniper upstairs. Seeing their plan fail, the girl threw her bag and fled. Ayano chased after her, eventually cornering her on the rooftop. As the future clan leader, Ayano intended to take the girl back to the Kanagi family. Just as they were about to clash, Kazuma intervened, stating the incident was personal and unrelated to the Kanagi family. He asked them to stay out of it, asserting the girl could not harm him. Feeling humiliated, the girl attacked Kazuma, but her efforts couldn't breach his defenses. The fight stopped only when it began to rain, and the girl paused, helpless. She vowed never to forgive Kazuma, who held no grudge against her. By nightfall, she still stood on the rooftop, contemplating suicide from her feeling of powerlessness. Then, a child appeared behind her, asking if she wished for death, revenge, or strength. The girl said she wanted all three. To avenge her brother, the girl sold her soul to a demon, absorbing human vitality to gain power. Recent demonic incidents caught the attention of the Kanagi family. However, having just lost the Fuga clan, their investigative capabilities were almost nil. They wanted Ayano to ask Kazuma for help in investigating. Ayano had just arrived at the hotel where Kazuma stayed when she encountered her two best friends. They had learned of her visit to the hotel to meet her boyfriend and came to support her, fearing she might be nervous. After finally sending her friends away, Ayano entered and was teased by Kazuma about being alone together in a room. Frustrated, Ayano threw the documents in Kazuma's face to make it clear she was there for work. The victims were all in their 20s, with dozens drained dry in just a week. Ayano offered her assistance, but Kazuma said he would take the job without her help, not wanting to be slowed down. This angered Ayano, who stormed out only to be harassed by thugs at the door. Misinterpreting her angry expression, her friends thought Kazuma was too quick, leaving her frustrated. Unexpectedly, they wandered into a demon's barrier, all under Kazuma's control, who used Ayano as bait. When slime attacked, Ayano countered with her flame sword, but the slime was endless. Kazuma, seeing his chance, broke the barrier and made a dramatic entrance, quickly defeating the monster. Ayano thanked him, but Kazuma said he should thank her, as her role as bait helped locate the culprit quickly. He had already pinpointed the villain's location, and soon found Misao behind it all, driven mad enough to kill Kazuma. When Ayano arrived, she sensed evil from Misao and knew she was responsible for the crimes. Unable to tolerate such cruelty, she resolved to settle scores, but Kazuma stopped her, which only infuriated her more. She raised her flame sword to strike Misao, who had already fled. Ayano questioned Kazuma for letting Misao go, pointing out it would have been easy for him to kill her with his skills. Kazuma didn't explain, making Ayano suspect that he might have feelings for Misao. After learning Misao was the main culprit, the clan leader instructed Ayano not to attack Misao, leaving her case to the Ogami family. Furthermore, Kazuma's commission was terminated. Misao had now crossed moral boundaries. For the sake of family honor and pride, they would eliminate her without hesitation. Their only concern was Kazuma interfering. Ayano vowed to keep Kazuma occupied. Intelligence revealed Misao was in a church, unexpectedly the head of a special police department, planning to provide intelligence to the Kanagi family to foster relations. Her previous approach to Kazuma aimed to recruit him. The Ogami family began their operation by sealing the church. Misao greeted her father, who no longer recognized her as his daughter. Unfazed, Misao wondered why Ayano hadn't shown up, knowing Ayano had vowed to defeat her and seemed jealous of her ambiguous relationship with Kazuma. This infuriated Ayano, and just then, Kazuma arrived. The little boy was only unable to control fire, often mocked and bullied by his clan members. He seemed numb to it, but then a little girl stepped in to stop the harassment. That boy was a young Kazuma, and the girl was Misao. Kazuma never forgot this, which is why he always protected Misao, no matter how extreme her actions were. However, Ayano was unaware of this, and mistakenly thought Kazuma had feelings for Misao. Her task now was to distract Kazuma. Standing on the rooftop, Ayano saw Kazuma approaching. Kazuma knew Ayano was trying to stall for time. Suddenly, Ayano had an idea and took Ren as a hostage, but Kazuma felt ashamed of her disgraceful act. Ayano, undeterred, stated she would use any means necessary to keep Kazuma occupied until Misao's punishment was over. Then, an explosion sounded. By the time they arrived, the entire Ogami family had been killed by Misao. After her brother's death, she lost all familial affection and sought revenge. She attacked Kazuma with a flame mixed with demonic energy, but the flame couldn't harm Kazuma at all. Misao couldn't accept this reality, as she had been assured by Lord Angel that she could defeat Kazuma. A young boy then stepped forward, the so-called Lord Angel Misao referred to. Misao begged him for guidance, but the boy told her such power didn't exist, and she could never defeat Kazuma. He revealed he had been deceiving her all along. Power control is innate, and if it surpasses one's capacity, it cannot be controlled. He mocked humans for their gullibility, saying they foolishly believe whatever they hope to hear. Realizing all she had done, Misao collapsed in despair and lost consciousness. As Ayano and another tried to approach, they were repelled by the demonic energy emanating from Misao. Kazuma immediately recognized the boy's intent to collect spiritual energy and convert it into demonic energy. The boy didn't deny it. His goal was indeed to gather enough demonic energy to defeat Kazuma. The boy's name is Harley. His master had been killed by Kazuma, and he was here for revenge. Kazuma also remembered this twisted organization, and painful memories resurfaced. He was ready to send Harley to meet his master in hell. Unexpectedly, Harley manipulated Misao to merge with the demonic energy, creating a giant dragon. If the dragon were defeated, Misao might also die. Kazuma thought to use the Kanagi family's purifying flame, which could potentially spare Misao, but Ayano said she hadn't mastered that high-level skill. Only her father and Genma could perform it. Despite this, Kazuma was determined to save Misao, making Ayano jealous. She charged forward with her flame sword. During the battle, Ayano kept thinking about Kazuma's attitude towards Misao, not understanding why he was so determined. Could he really have fallen for Misao? Distracted, Ayano was nearly hit by the dragon's attack, but Kazuma saved her just in time. Ayano, however, lost her temper. Kazuma explained that if she died, saving Misao would be pointless. Kazuma just wanted to protect everything around him. Only then did Ayano notice that Kazuma was injured. Kazuma said it was nothing serious, but Ayano insisted he rest first. Seeing Ayano's concern, Kazuma embraced her. Kazuma asked Ayano for 5 minutes to invoke the power of a contractor. Ayano and Ren worked together to fend off the dragon's attacks. Meanwhile, Kazuma completed his chant and used the contractor's power to turn Ayano's flames blue. He then controlled the wind to lift Ayano without harming Misao. Ayano then split the dragon in two, and the dragon was consumed by the blue flames. Harley couldn't understand why he failed, nor could he grasp the terrifying power humans could wield. Seeing Kazuma's eyes gave him the answer. Misao, having been saved, wanted to die as penance, but Kazuma told her that her life alone could not atone for her sins. Though unsure how to make amends, she must first compensate for the substantial losses she caused. Due to frequent paranormal events at Ayano's alma mater, Seiryo Academy, the school enlisted the Kanagi family to handle the situation. The family head decided to assign Ayano to the task. Ayano set out immediately upon receiving the assignment, but the family head, sensing the complexity of the matter, assigned a guard for her, Kazuma. Ayano reluctantly refused the arrangement. The family head warned that if she declined, they would have to pass the matter to the special division of the police ministry. Imagining the potential scenarios, Ayano quickly changed her stance, joking that she could not entrust her school's issues to others. That night, Ayano and Kazuma arrived at the school. Ayano wondered why Kazuma had accepted this job, to which he replied that the compensation offered by the family head was too good to refuse. As they walked through the dark campus, they detected no anomalies. Suddenly, a rustling in the bushes startled them. Ayano prepared to launch a fireball, but was tripped by Kazuma, causing her shot to miss. It turned out the bushes hid Ayano's two friends, who, having heard about the ghostly occurrences at night, had come seeking thrills. Meeting Ayano excited them even more. As the group moved to the hallway, still no abnormalities were found. Ayano questioned if it was all just a rumor, as Kazuma would have sensed any presence immediately. However, Kazuma then halted, sensing something off, and launched an attack behind him, only to be met with a counterattack. Ayano suspected Kazuma was behind the attacks and swung her flame sword at him. Suddenly, A will-o'-the-wisp floated by and vanished. The group proceeded boldly. Ayano asked Kazuma what he had detected, but he claimed nothing. Ayano felt Kazuma was hiding something. At that moment, Kazuma warned her to watch her back. As Ayano turned around, the will-o'-the-wisp collided with her. Kazuma, seeing Ayano on the ground, remarked on her lack of femininity, whether talking or fainting. The will-o'-the-wisp laughed nearby. When Ayano tried to attack it with a fireball, Kazuma stopped her, advising against startling the enemy. Then, a gust of wind lifted them into the air, teased them, and dropped them hard on the ground. Ayano, unable to bear it anymore, chased after it, but was blindsided and fell down the stairs. She suspected Kazuma, but he responded that if she insisted on thinking that way, there was nothing he could do. A sudden wind knocked over an oil drum, causing the three to slip. Kazuma, being quite gentlemanly, stepped aside, leading them to crash into a wall. They were then frightened by a mannequin and scattered in panic, ending up drenched. While drying their clothes, Kazuma pinpointed the adversary's location in the school's backyard. As soon as Ayano stepped out the door, a bucket fell over her head. In anger, she drew her flame sword and wildly attacked the will-o'-the-wisp. She was furiously enraged. After Ayano vented for a while, Kazuma finally stopped her. Humiliated like never before, Ayano sat down and burst into tears. When Kazuma tried to reason with the will-o'-the-wisp, it mocked him. Kazuma had no choice but to forcefully pull it down. To their surprise, it was a mischievous fairy. Kazuma asked its purpose here, and the fairy claimed it was fulfilling an old man's last wish. It then flew to a withered cherry tree, summoned its companions around the tree, and in the next moment, the dead trunk blossomed with vibrant cherry flowers. You've never seen such a laid-back guard who watches the show while letting the employer fight monsters, then praises them once the creature is defeated, and smoothly receives today's pay. All this was arranged by the clan leader who has been hiring Kazuma as Ayano's guard since last time, and this arrangement has its purposes. After completing the mission, Ayano wouldn't let Kazuma off easily. She insisted that Kazuma treat her to a meal at a fancy restaurant. What she thought would be a perfect date turned sour when Kazuma suddenly claimed an emergency, paid the bill, and left Ayano behind. Kazuma went to an alley where he encountered the mischievous fairy from before. The fairy tried to act cute, but Kazuma was not swayed and directly asked what it wanted. It turned out the fairy was from the Pixie clan, and a few days ago, a human had stolen their tribe's sacred treasure, vital for their survival. The fairy sought Kazuma's help, expecting his immediate agreement. However, Kazuma demanded payment, surprising the fairy. Reluctantly, the fairy agreed to share some village gems, but Kazuma demanded half. Given the tribe's crisis, the fairy had no choice but to agree. The fairy transmitted an image of the treasure to Kazuma via telepathy. Kazuma didn't care whether it was a seed or an egg. His only goal was to retrieve it. Meanwhile, learning that the Tsuwabuki family, notorious earth magicians who manipulate earth spirits, were the robbers, Kazuma was thrilled. He had long disliked the cunning family and saw this as a perfect opportunity to settle scores. Soon, he arrived at the Tsuwabuki's location at the base of Mount Fuji and explored the area. However, the treasure was not there, causing the fairy to panic and offer Kazuma extra compensation. Kazuma told the fairy to stay calm as he had overheard the family's conversation, revealing that they too had lost the treasure. He also learned that the Tsuwabuki family was planning a ceremony the next day to prevent Mount Fuji from erupting, a ritual held every 30 years. Kazuma scoffed at their beliefs. Soon the Tsuwabukis sensed his presence and confronted him. Kazuma remained composed as he faced Kureha from the Tsuwabuki family who attacked him. Kazuma easily neutralized the attack, surprising them with his wind magic prowess and accusing them of thievery. While they were still confused, Kazuma soared into the air. His plan was simple: wait for them to retrieve the treasure and then take it from them. Firmly believing he was on the side of justice, Kazuma never expected that the very treasure he was searching for would be found by his younger brother, Ren. Ren, with his charming appearance, was popular among both boys and girls at school, who even fought over him. Ren didn't understand why he was so popular. He thought girls should prefer someone like his brother. One night, as Ren walked home, he heard a beautiful singing voice. Under the moonlight, he saw a girl singing solo. At that moment, Ren was instantly smitten with the girl, a feeling he had never experienced before, as if he were enchanted in a dream. They greeted each other, and the girl invited Ren to play, taking his hand directly, which made Ren's heart flutter. Worried the girl might catch a cold, Ren warmly offered her his jacket. They then played on the swings, and Ren learned her name was Ayumi, but that was all he knew about her. However, their pleasant time was abruptly interrupted when a car arrived, and several men in black jumped out, pinned Ayumi to the ground, and even pulled out a stun gun. Just as one of the men was about to use it on Ayumi, Ren knocked him down with a knee strike, then swept another man off his feet. He grabbed Ayumi to escape, but then the attackers pulled out a handgun. Seeing they were serious, Ren decided not to hold back and melted the gun with his touch. Ren declared his family name, Kanagi, hoping to intimidate the enemies, but they were unafraid as they belonged to the Tsuwabuki family. They warned Ren that his rash actions could lead to severe conflict between the two families, and revealed that the girl was considered property of the Tsuwabuki family. Ren was furious that they treated the girl as an object, and refused to hand Ayumi over to them. A sudden wall of fire emerged, separating the two groups. Ren gave them two options: leave voluntarily or be made to disappear. Outmatched, the men in black chose to retreat after hurling threats. Grateful, Ayumi thanked Ren and asked for another favor. Meanwhile, the head of the Kanagi family soon received a call from the Tsuwabuki family, claiming Ren had stolen their treasure and warning of repercussions against Ren. The family head realized the gravity of the situation and, with Ren's whereabouts unknown, requested help from the police to find him. He prepared Ayano for action and asked if she could contact Kazuma. The mere thought of Kazuma infuriated Ayano, who left before even finishing her meal. The Tsuwabuki family are earth magic users who can control earth spirits and have guarded the area around Mount Fuji for generations. To suppress the demons beneath Mount Fuji, they sacrifice a direct descendant every 30 years. Ayumi was this year's sacrifice. She is not human, but a clone created to replace Mayumi. Although she appears to be 12 years old, she was created less than a month ago. Even her memories are fabricated. Therefore, she wanted to see the world's beauty and create her own memories in her final days. Ren took her to the beach. Despite the darkness of the night sea, Ayumi was very happy. Seeing no one around, Ren created a miniature sun with flames, making the sea shimmer spectacularly, a sight Ayumi had never seen before. She felt no regrets. However, their peaceful moment was interrupted by a voice. The Tsuwabuki family had found them. Mayumi, the younger daughter of the Tsuwabuki family, then warned Ren to return what he had taken or face opposition from the Tsuwabuki family. Ren clenched his teeth in frustration. Ayumi saw his dilemma and, knowing her intended purpose, thanked him once more. But as she approached Mayumi, she was slapped and mistreated by the man. This enraged Ren, who threw a fireball at them. The confrontation escalated as Yuji launched an attack on Ren. Earth magic users have a significant advantage when fighting on the ground. Ren could only dodge continuously until he had an idea. The flames around him grew fierce. Yuji mocked his futile efforts, but the next moment, his skills failed to work because Ren had melted the sand beneath him into magma. At that moment, Mayumi grabbed Ayumi and mocked Ren's unique taste for being interested in a mere doll. Ren, still confused, was told by Mayumi that Ayumi was just her clone, and that the memories she held were altered versions of her own. Even if not used as a sacrifice, Ayumi's lifespan would be no more than a month since she was a clone created for emergency purposes. Learning the truth, Ren was overwhelmed and confused. Ayumi was taken back by Mayumi. Meanwhile, Kazuma, who had been secretly observing the Tsuwabuki family, realized that the treasure they were seeking was inside Ayumi. Surprisingly, Kazuma prepared to leave, thinking it would be more thrilling to intervene during the ceremony the next day than to act now. Such a cute little girl, born less than a month ago, was created only to be a sacrificial offering. When Ren learned that Ayumi was a clone made for a ritual sacrifice, he was devastated. When Ayumi was taken away, Ren did nothing and abandoned her. Ayano, seeing Ren despondent, pushed him into the water to snap him out of it. Ren felt powerless. Ayumi was a clone created for sacrifice, and no one could replace her. Saving her would cause Mount Fuji to erupt, and willingly dying as a sacrifice was Ayumi's own wish. Ren realized the best he could do was to honor her wish. After Ayano's scolding, Ren understood his true feelings. He wanted to meet Ayumi, apologize, and confess his true feelings. The two of them stormed the Tsuwabuki family's stronghold. The minor guards they encountered were no match for them. Suddenly, a stone giant descended from the sky. Ayano threw a fireball at the stone giant, but it was ineffective. Ayano pulled out a flame sword and told Ren to go ahead, but the stone giant refused to let him pass easily. Arms emerged from the ground and grabbed Ren. Ayano, wielding the flame sword, struck at the stone giant, causing no damage. Then, the stone giant kicked Ayano away. Ren recognized the voice of the stone giant. It was Yuji. He had transformed because he wanted the power to protect Mayumi, even if it meant sacrificing his life. However, Ren disagreed with this method, believing that a love that causes pain to the other is distorted. Just as the stone giant was about to throw Ren down, two wind blades saved him. Kazuma made his entrance, but the stone giant was not defeated. Its severed arms and body re-merged, and the stone giant stood up again. Ren approached the stone giant, realizing the true enemy he needed to defeat. The stone giant attacked Ren, who countered with fire. His flames broke through the defense and hit the stone giant, melting it under Ren's fire. It turned out that Ren was using purifying flames, which could neutralize the mutation factors without endangering lives. Suddenly, a rock fell from the sky, and the three quickly dodged it. Ayano sensed the enemy's location and launched an attack, but her fireball was knocked down before it could reach. Such advanced gravity manipulation was beyond an Earth mage's capability. Kazuma realized her power stemmed from a demon. Seeing this, Kazuma used wind magic to send Ren to Ayumi. Two men blocked Ren's path, but Ren's release of flame scared them away. Ren was there to save Ayumi, and not only her. He would also save Mayumi. He refused to let anyone be sacrificed. The demon was his to defeat. Just as the atmosphere was heating up between them, Kazuma came in, having once again used Ayano as bait. Ayano was used as bait by Kazuma to hold off Kureha. On the surface, the two seemed evenly matched, but in reality, Ayano was exhausted just defending against Kureha's attacks. Ayano was angry about this and decided to teach Kazuma a lesson when he returned. Kazuma successfully rescued Ren and the others. Ayano charged at Kazuma and delivered a high kick, accidentally giving him a glimpse up her skirt. Kazuma had already learned of Kureha's true intention. She didn't want to seal the demon, but to possess its power for herself. Merely a human body couldn't control such force, hence a ritual was needed. The ritual could compress the demon's immense power, making it usable by humans. Kureha needed the demon's power because, despite being a direct descendant of the Tsuwabuki family, she lacked the ability of an earth mage and lived a miserable life at home. Her situation was similar to Kazuma's. However, Kureha overlooked a crucial point. Yuji turned into a monster after absorbing the demon's power, yet Kureha remained unaffected. This suggested that Kureha had been granted a part of the demon's power even before she was born. Kureha was being used as a pawn for resurrection. Because Kazuma broke the seal during his escape from underground, the resurrected demon reclaimed the power placed in Kureha. Kazuma and the others had to defeat the demon before it fully revived. The three attacked the demon, but their attacks were ineffective. The demon's attacks flattened mountains. Their attacks were not ineffective. They simply missed because the demon was a collection of gases forming a protective barrier. Kureha, affected by the demon, regained her Earth Mage powers and attacked the demon frantically, her mind collapsing. She fell to the demon's assault. Watching her companion struggle, Ayumi felt compelled to act. She conducted a ritual at the cost of her life, weakening the gas covering the demon. Kazuma activated the power of the contractor and used a hurricane to lift the demon. Subsequently, the trio's combined attack destroyed the demon. Although the demon was destroyed, Ayumi collapsed. Given her already limited time, the outcome of using so much power was clear. The clan leader sent Kazuma and Ayano to investigate reports of paranormal activity at the amusement park. Although Ayano verbally expressed reluctance, her actions showed eagerness. On the day of their investigation, Ayano thoroughly groomed herself before departing. The trio arrived at the amusement park where Ren bumped into a friend, giving Kazuma and Ayano some alone time. Kazuma used wind magic to scan the park, but found nothing unusual. Ayano, seeing couples holding hands, was eager to do the same with Kazuma. Just as she was about to touch his hand, a sudden conversation startled her. Kazuma had spotted a man disguised as a woman working as a restroom cleaner. An angry Ayano kicked him several times until Kazuma intervened, preventing further violence. Due to the commotion caused by Ayano in the plaza, they could no longer stay there. On the cable car, Ayano spotted two suspicious individuals and felt they were connected to the paranormal events. She tried to apprehend them, but Kazuma deliberately held down her skirt to stop her. The pair then went to the Ferris wheel. Kazuma boarded nonchalantly, and Ayano followed. urged by the staff. Inside, Ayano tried to ease the awkward silence by making conversation, but Kazuma remained silent until he spotted Ren and became talkative. Seeing this, Ayano became jealous of her brother. At that moment, Ayano noticed Kazuma taking her hand. The next day, Ayano was distracted during class, not even noticing when the teacher called her name. Her best friend immediately guessed that Ayano was going on a date with Kazuma today, as nothing else could make her look forward to something so much. Despite Ayano's strong denials, her tsundere attitude was unconvincing. That evening, Ayano arrived at the hotel in a limousine, dressed in a beautiful evening gown, while Kazuma appeared in a smart suit. While dining, the pair encountered a robber's attack. While ordinary people cowered against the wall as the robbers looted, Kazuma and Ayano continued their elegant meal. An oblivious robber approached them, only to have his knife knocked away by a sudden fireball. Following a dragon's fiery attack, the robbers fled. The dragon's owner, Catherine, made her entrance. She is a well-known fire mage from a European family, capable of creating spirits as weapons through illusions. Catherine aimed to defeat the Kanagi family to establish her family as the strongest in fire magic, and demanded Ayano hand over the Enraiha, a weapon bestowed by the Spirit King. Naturally, Ayano refused, unwilling to relinquish the Kanagi family's title. She drew the Enraiha, and Catherine summoned the spirit Metatron. After a brief clash, Ayano split the spirit in two. Just when Ayano thought she had won, the fallen spirit, being a collective of spirits, shook her off with a sword. Realizing Metatron could not be killed by cutting, Ayano sought strategy advice from Kazuma, but he was already pursuing an evil spirit. As Ayano and the spirit's fight passed by Kazuma, she took the opportunity to defeat the evil spirit as well. Ayano struggled against the undying spirit. Kazuma gave her a hint, telling her not to confuse what she sees with what should be burned. Reflecting on Kazuma's words, Ayano realized the truth from the earlier encounter with the evil spirit. She sheathed the Enraiha and began to gather fire elements. Seizing the opportunity, Catherine commanded the spirit to attack. As Metatron approached, it was instantly trapped in flames. The spirit, inflated by Catherine's magic, was unnaturally distorted, no different from an evil spirit, and could be destroyed with fire. However, Ayano was unaware that releasing the energy used to create the spirit could cause a massive explosion. The rare candlelight dinner had turned into chaos, and Ayano was still hungry. Conveniently, there was a ramen shop nearby. The two sat down there, and Kazuma pulled out a bottle of red wine he had taken from the hotel. Catherine's public exorcism in front of civilians caused headaches for Kirika from the police department. She sought Kazuma's help to address this issue. Kazuma had previously met Catherine, who was hunting demons to become stronger and defeat Ayano. However, Kazuma thought improving her spirits would be more practical. Catherine, feeling Kazuma was unreasonable, demanded he kneel and apologize. Kazuma, not one to bow to others, was then challenged by Catherine. She commanded her spirit to attack him, but Kazuma summoned a blade of wind and shredded the spirit. Their powers were not on the same level. Kazuma advised Catherine to abandon her duel with Ayano, stating she was no match and pointing out her shortcomings. Confused why Kazuma would share this information, he explained that he and Ayano were merely in an employer-employee relationship. Realizing this, Catherine decided to hire Kazuma. The next day, Ayano learned from her friend that Kazuma was seen with another woman. After her friend teased her, Kazuma appeared and handed Ayano a challenge letter, stating he was coaching Catherine. Under Kazuma's guidance, Catherine developed attacks beyond using spirits, greatly increasing her chances against Ayano. After completing the coaching, Kazuma was ready to eat, but Catherine fell into his arms. As he walked away, another naive girl had fallen in love. Jealous Ayano turned her sadness into appetite. By coincidence, Kazuma and Catherine also planned to dine at the same restaurant. Catherine was arm in arm with Kazuma, which upset Ayano greatly. A confrontation was imminent, but Kazuma intervened and stopped it. On the day of the showdown, both were ready. Ayano attacked with purifying flames, overpowering Catherine's spirit as expected. However, Catherine had anticipated this and, catching Ayano off guard, summoned multiple fireballs from the sky, showcasing her new combat style. Ayano was overwhelmed by the fireballs, as her fighting technique focused on breaking through at one point and couldn't handle multiple attacks. If Ayano couldn't overcome this weakness, she would be defeated. After being knocked down, Catherine chose not to finish Ayano off, but instead spoke of her wonderful life with Kazuma. Ayano turned her jealousy into fighting spirit, stood up, and shattered each fireball one by one. She then confronted Catherine, gathered the fire elements, and unleashed her full power. The tribal chief asked Ayano's best friend to invite Ayano and Kazuma to a hot spring trip as a prize. However, Kazuma quickly saw through the ruse, while Ayano remained unaware. Proud of his seemingly perfect plan, the chief was confident that the combination of men, women, and the hot spring would inevitably lead to mistakes. Just as he planned to discuss marriage matters with Genma, he learned Genma was also at the hot spring. Upon arriving at the hot spring resort, Ayano and others changed into swimsuits and tried different hot springs. As a true warrior, Kazuma decided to go to the outdoor bath. When he opened the door, Catherine was startled, especially since Kazuma did not bother with a towel. Shocked by Kazuma's nudity, Catherine fled in a panic, but secretly enjoyed the sight. At the same time, Kazuma's father was also enjoying the therapeutic hot springs. After their bath, Kazuma and his father bumped into each other and exchanged taunts. Leading to a physical fight. The air currents from their brawl shattered nearby objects. Feeling the intense aura of the fight, Ayano and Ren rushed over. Kirika intervened to stop them, noting that both father and son couldn't stand cold meals, which momentarily paused the fight. After dinner, Kazuma decided to take another dip in the hot springs to wash off the sweat from the brawl. Ayano also met Catherine and found out that she had shared a mixed bath with Kazuma, which unsettled her immediately. Suddenly, Kazuma flew out from the men's bath. It turned out he and his father had started fighting again. Ren viewed this as their unique way of communicating, a typical case of men speaking with their fists. Kazuma dodged his father's attack and landed a punch in his father's stomach, then decided the outcome with a kick. While Ayano was scolding Kazuma, his father seized the opportunity to punch him back. Like father, like son, indeed. Ayano was left speechless by the whole situation. Seeking power? A simple click of the mouse can grant it. The sudden rise in instant mages drew Kazuma's attention to investigate. Surprisingly, he encountered his deceased ex-girlfriend, a lively girl training at the tennis court. However, a man was shamelessly taking photos of her, causing her distress. Unable to stand by, Nanase intervened, teaching the man a lesson and destroying his camera. She then found photos in his backpack that he had taken in the changing room. The girls discovered several small cameras in the dressing room, which infuriated them. They dragged the man behind the school building and beat him up. Holding a grudge, the man gained powers through a website and took revenge on the girls who had punished him. He then lured Nanase out alone, recounted his revenge, and showed her his newfound powers, demanding she become his slave. Nanase, refusing to comply, berated him. Enraged, the man attempted to use his magic on her, but Nanase pulled out a stun gun and knocked him out. She then handed him over to Kirika. Kirika entrusted Ayano with investigating this incident because the recent surge in instant mages, especially among teenagers, was unusual and suspected manipulation. Kirika also asked Kazuma for help, advising Ayano to contact him if needed. Meanwhile, Kazuma was betraying his teammates as usual, using a rookie officer as bait to lure enemies into revealing information. After obtaining the information, he took down the enemies and prepared to head home, where he encountered a familiar figure. Ren and two friends were shopping when suddenly a boy grabbed Kanan, asking her to sing with him. Kanan had already clearly refused him and stated she wouldn't date him, but the boy thought she was just playing hard to get. Ren stepped in to help, but the boy mocked him and tried to hit Kanan. Ren quickly pinned him against the wall with a sharp glare, intimidating the boy. After shopping, Ren and his friends were surrounded by a gang that took them to a deserted alley. It turned out the boy had sought his older brother's help for revenge. The gang formed a fireball and threw it at them, but Ren extinguished it easily. Seeing Ren block the attack, the gang thought he was another player and tried to defeat him for experience points. Ren scattered their attacks with a few fireballs, revealing demonic energy in them. The gang, possessed by demons, mistakenly thought they had gained power themselves. Ren, realizing the issue, used purifying flames to cleanse the demons from the gang. He learned from them that their powers were obtained from a website called Wanmodian, which was actually a ritual for summoning demons. When someone chose an option on the site, it signed a soul contract and digital demons would possess the user. To visit Wanmodian, one needed to gain experience through PK and, after reaching a certain level, would receive an SMS invitation for a high-level job transfer. Using clues from the gang, Ren located Wanmodian. Although it seemed empty, Ren knew it was hidden via spatial distortion and launched an attack to confirm his suspicion. Ren disappeared upon finding Wanmodian. Kanon quickly called Ayano for help. After arriving and learning the situation, Ayano sent them both home. Using wind magic, Kazuma detected a distorted space and flew there, slicing a gap with a wind blade to enter Wanmodian. However, upon entry, Kazuma got trapped in a dimensional maze. Without knowing Ren's location, he wandered aimlessly, using wind blades to cut through the space. Meanwhile, fearing Kazuma might destroy the building, Kirika ordered her subordinates to evacuate nearby residents. After handling the situation, the two went to the rooftop and found the space Kazuma tore open hadn't healed. Kirika used a charm to open a portal, and she and Ayano entered Wanmodian. They met Lapis, who serves Bernhardt. Seeing Ayano as an uninvited enemy, Lapis attacked her with a huge sword. Their strengths were evenly matched, and the sword could absorb and release magic, making Lapis a formidable anti-magic warrior. Even Ayano struggled against her. At the same time, Bernhardt revealed his plan to Ren. He had used Ren to lure Kazuma and Ayano, planning for Lapis to kill Ayano in front of Kazuma. As he gloated, Kazuma noticed them and pinpointed Ren's location. He then tore through the dimensional maze with a wind blade and reached Ren's side. The battle between Ayano and Lapis was nearing its conclusion. Despite the giant sword's ability to absorb magic, Ayano unleashed continuous fire magic, overwhelming it. When Kazuma encountered Lapis again, he knew it was an illusion but still felt shaken inside. 4 years ago, Kazuma, banished from his family, arrived in Hong Kong. At that time, he was in a state of despair every day until he met Ling. Her presence transformed Kazuma, and they eventually became lovers. During that period, Kazuma felt as if he was living in a dream, cherishing every moment of their simple yet happy life. Deeply in love, he vowed to always protect Ling. However, their happiness did not last long. Ling was captured by an evil organization and sacrificed to a demon as Kazuma helplessly watched. After her death, consumed by the demon, Kazuma became the wind contractor. Although he avenged her by killing all involved, Ling's death remained a permanent scar in his heart. Now, Lapis, who looks just like Ling, appeared before Kazuma. Though he knew she was not real, he couldn't bear to see her harmed. Bernhardt, who had survived earlier calamities, used the last remnants of Ling's thoughts to create the being Lapis, infuriating Kazuma. As Bernhardt prepared to retreat, having nearly accomplished his goals, he ordered Lapis to unleash the full power of the giant sword. Raising the sword, an angel of the sword materialized behind her, and she then cleaved the building in two. After rescuing Ayano and the others with wind magic, Kazuma disappeared alone. He thought the destruction of Wanmodian would bring peace for a while, but a new Wanmodian appeared immediately, and overnight, the number of players involved increased. Kazuma, sitting on the rooftop, radiated a murderous aura. Angry and fallen into darkness, he hunted ability users for clues to Wanmodian. Those who gained power from Wanmodian fought nightly, earning points to strengthen and eventually upgrade their status. During a fierce battle between two adolescent boys, Kazuma appeared, demanding they reveal Wanmodian's location. One man mocked him, prompting Kazuma to instantly shred his monster, causing a backlash to the man. Kazuma seized his head and searched his body with soul-searching magic, but found no clues. Kazuma then turned his attention to the other man, who resisted with all his strength, but his attacks were repelled by Kazuma's wind barrier. Trapped, the man was also subjected to the soul-searching magic, but still, no clues about Wanmodian emerged. However, Kazuma discovered useful information about a stout man involved in a school incident. Kazuma broke through the Nanase family's barrier using a tornado. Catherine, standing guard outside, summoned Metatron to fight, not expecting Kazuma as the foe. She tried to stop him but was quickly overwhelmed by the tornado. With the barrier gone, Nanase was cursed by the stout man and moved unconsciously toward him. Now, Kazuma was unscrupulously pursuing his goals. Kazuma used Nanase as bait to locate Wanmodian but didn't plan to strike immediately. He decided to wait until Bernhardt's big plan was about to succeed before destroying everything. Bernhardt, aware of Kazuma's intentions, sent thugs to provoke him. Ren, not wanting Kazuma to continue on this path, tried to intervene, but Kazuma had no intention of stopping. Concerned for Ren's safety, his friend helped him escape from the scene. At the hospital, Ren resolved to stop Kazuma at all costs, understanding the pain of losing a loved one, but recognizing that Kazuma's approach was wrong. He didn't want Kazuma to be bound by his past. Kirika believed that only Ayano could bring Kazuma back to his senses. She encouraged Ayano to be confident and trust in their bond, insisting that she could match Ling. Meanwhile, Yukari gathered information online to help Ayano and pinpointed Wanmodian's gathering place. She sneaked into a Wanmodian meeting alone, where she found Nanis controlled by the Stout Man. The Stout Man relayed Bernhardt's orders that Wanmodian would descend on Central Park at midnight the next day, promising supreme power to the first one there. Yukari passed this information to Ayano, but was then discovered and captured by the Stout Man, who returned to Wanmodian with the message, no longer wanting to be Bernhardt's servant. Kazuma has become a harmful presence to the Kanagi family. Genma decided to personally subdue him, but Ayano, as the head of the clan, ordered Genma not to interfere. She vowed by the name of Enraiha to stop Kazuma herself. As night fell, many contenders started a brawl to reduce the number of participants and lessen competition. At midnight, as the clock chimed, dark clouds covered the sky, the earth trembled and lightning struck. Wanmodian descended into the world. The possessed contenders turned into demons and rushed towards Wanmodian. Kazuma had been waiting for a long time and sliced the approaching demons into pieces with wind blades. A massive tornado then pulverized them. Ren and Ayano arrived to persuade Kazuma to stop, but he had no intention of doing so. Seeing persuasion fail, Ayano decided to use force to stop him, but Kazuma's overwhelming power made her tremble. From their recent clash, Ayano realized that Kazuma was weaker than before. She had not feared the original Kazuma because the gap in their strengths was so vast, it was beyond comprehension. Fear was not even possible. Now, Ayano's fear indicated that the gap had narrowed. She could not forgive a weakened Kazuma and intended to return everything he had given her. Her anger turned her flames into divine fire. Ayano then expressed her true feelings to Kazuma, prompting him to remember that his power existed to protect everything around him. Kazuma awakened from his death-like state, but Ayano was unaware that he had regained his sanity and swung her divine fire at him. Kazuma neutralized Ayano's attack and looked at her gently. Meanwhile, the remnants of the demons were absorbed by Wanmodian, setting the stage for the final battle. Bernhardt's goal is to merge humans and demons, using Wanmodian as a platform to collect data. It grants mortals demonic powers through the internet, cultivating contenders and selecting capable candidates to create valuable experimental data for transcending species. Knowing Kazuma would interfere, Bernhardt sent Lapis to disrupt him, aiming to bring Kazuma immense trouble and despair. With the experiment data collected, Wanmodian became obsolete. Lapis offered the final sacrifice for the summoning circle, aiming to summon the demon Belial from the demonic realm. Though unable to fully summon him, Belial was strong enough to destroy the city, leaving Kazuma with despair as Bernhardt's parting gift. Stopping the summoning required defeating the caster, but Kazuma hesitated to strike Lapis. Ayano rushed to intervene, but was blocked by her best friend. Kazuma used this opportunity to strike Lapis with a wind blade, saving Ayano's friend. Just as Kazuma was about to deliver the final blow to Lapis, the summoning circle activated. They were too late as a massive evil energy surged from beneath, and Wanmodian began to collapse. Kazuma used wind magic to evacuate Ayano and the others. Unable to defeat the demon Belial, Kazuma and his allies needed to suppress him before he fully emerged. Kazuma activated the power of his contract, Ayano wielded divine fire, and Ren used purifying flames. The three unleashed their strongest attacks together, striving to subdue the great demon Belial. The trio successfully subdued the great demon Belial, but were completely exhausted. Bernhardt then appeared before Kazuma and the others. Kazuma was too drained to fight him. Fortunately, Genma arrived in time to intervene, deterring Bernhardt from acting. Kazuma wanted to know Ling's last remaining thoughts. This answer saddened Kazuma, but he resolved to face the present and protect those important to him with his own hands. However, Ayano did not need Kazuma's protection. She refused to be treated like a decorative vase and wanted to fight alongside Kazuma.